Hey guys, so welcome back to my channel, and today I just wanted to talk to you guys about traveling while you're pregnant. I just kind of want to start off by talking about my experience and the different traveling that I did while I was pregnant, and then kind of give you about 10 travel tips. So if you have watched my other videos, you would know that I actually found out that I was pregnant during my travels in my first trimester. So that was quite the experience, but I did travel in my first trimester and that was quite the experience. Probably wouldn't recommend it the most. Traveling in your first trimester, especially if you're going through a lot of nausea and morning sickness and things like that. It was really tough on my body for sure. What I actually did was I traveled to Europe. So it was my first time in Europe. I had never been out there before, and we were spending like a little over a month out there. We would literally go from Italy for one day, Greece for like a week, Germany for a week, and then Amsterdam for 2 days, and then Paris for like less than 24 hours. So we were moving around a lot. So my advice, especially in the first trimester and third trimester, would be to pick destinations and pick traveling that like you don't have to move around frantically that much. That made me super exhausted, as well as I like definitely threw up a lot because of the nausea. And during my first trimester, if I went too long without eating, then I would get nauseous and then throw up, even if I would just like had a cup of tea. So that was really difficult. Plus I was starting to have like food aversions, so that was tough. But then going on into my second trimester, I was feeling a lot better, and I traveled twice in my second trimester. So I traveled when I was 24 weeks. I flew from Tokyo to San Francisco, which is where my parents live. So I went to go visit my parents in San Francisco at 24 weeks. The flight was about, I want to say like 10 hours. It was about a 10-hour flight. Not bad at all. And then when I was 26, 27 weeks, the end of my second trimester, I actually traveled from Tokyo to Malaysia, Kuala Lumpur. And that was a 7-hour flight, and then like an hour layover, and then about like a 1 to 2 hour flight from Vietnam to Kuala Lumpur. So actually having a layover wasn't bad at all. I actually prefer that. I got to walk around and things like that, so it definitely made it a lot better, especially during my in my 27th week of traveling. I had like the most energy ever, so that was a lot of fun. I did have plans to travel at 31 weeks. That would have required me to travel from Tokyo to LA, and that was gonna be at least like maybe like a 12-hour flight, because I couldn't find any direct flights. And just my husband was really nervous and anxious about it, and just thinking about all the repercussions, decided not to do it. A lot of the airlines that I researched said that you're good to travel up to about 36 weeks. I think I could have done it. It's just he was just really nervous about the insurance and how I would feel on the airplane, and if anything were to happen, we wouldn't really know what to do. So we decided that if we're gonna feel that way, then we'd feel a lot better if I just stayed home. That is what happened. I am going to get right into my travel tips for you. I have 10 written down. Like a side note, I do definitely recommend, and many people say this, is to mostly travel in your second trimester. That was like the best time to travel, the best time to have your baby moon, best time to have your business trips, best time to just like kind of lay on the beach and stuff like that. So I would definitely recommend, as a side note, traveling in your second trimester if you could plan it that way. Here we go. Number 1, make sure that you bring compression socks. So when I was 24 weeks and I went on that 10-hour flight to San Francisco, I didn't get compression socks, and nothing really happened. It didn't really bug me. I wasn't bugged out or anything, and I'm not, thankfully, and thank goodness, right now I'm in my third trimester, and I haven't had like any swelling. My rings and everything, my shoes still fit, so I think I've been pretty lucky. But I know a lot of people get swelling and stuff. So when I was 27 weeks and I went to Malaysia, I decided to get compression socks, and even though I didn't have problems without them, they just like alleviated a lot. Like, it just felt really good. Like, it felt really good to have them on during my flight. I think I read some places to make sure that you get the ones that go all the way up your legs, but I actually only got the ones that kind of covered up to your knees, and that was just fine. So I don't think it matters too much. I think it mostly just depends on the individual. So I got compression socks that went up to the knees, and those were just fine. And then number 2, I would say get some good footwear. Stay away from wearing just flat sandals everywhere, especially because your body is heavier. I think for me, it put a lot of stress onto my feet and my heels and my ankles. So I would definitely get some good footwear, especially if you're going to a place where you'll be walking around a lot. That's what we did in Malaysia. We walked around a lot, and in San Francisco. Like, we did a lot of sightseeing and just up and out all day, doing different activities. So you definitely want to have some good footwear. Number 3, I would take a lot of snacks with you. So bring snacks on the plane, and depending on, I guess, where your destination is going to be, bring snacks that you can have out there. Plain food, depending on the airline and depending on what you're okay with putting in your body, there were some things that I normally would have ate that I didn't feel like feeding my baby. So I definitely brought some snacks on the plane to eat and to my destination, especially Malaysia. I didn't really bring snacks to the United States because I knew, I grew up out there, so I know what I want to eat and I know what's good for you and stuff like that. But Malaysia being, Southeast Asia, not really knowing what kind of snacks they have out there, not really knowing what kind of foods I can get, I wanted to make sure that I had like a stable amount of snacks that I can bring out there, just like little bars and stuff, or like little chips and stuff like that, just to make sure that you're well fed wherever that you go. Number 4, make sure that you pick a good seat on the plane. So especially once you get into like your second and third trimester, you start to need to go to the bathroom frequently, which is, of course, that's obvious. So you definitely want to get an aisle seat. But I do recommend, if you have the means to do it, at least bump yourself up to premium economy. I flew premium economy in my second trimester, and it made a whole lot of difference. If you can bump yourself up to like business or even like first class, totally do that. It wasn't necessary for me, but premium economy made all the difference. Like, it gave me so much leg room to work with, and just being able to prop my legs up, and it was just an extra level of comfort, and you get extra service when it comes to like more snacks and food and things like that. So make sure that you get a good comfortable seat when you are flying. Comfort was more important to me than getting a cheaper seat or a cheaper flight, and I think that's really important to keep in mind. Number 5, make sure that during your flight, a few times you stretch your legs out or just take a walk up and down the aisles. You know, if you're not that visibly pregnant, people might look at you and whatnot, but I actually even did that on long flights even when I wasn't pregnant, so I don't think that's very weird. Don't worry about what people are going to think about you or, you know, look at you weird. You can walk in place. If you do have the extra leg room like I had in premium economy, I was able to stand in front of my seat and just stretch my legs out. I massaged my legs a little bit once they started cramping at the end of my flight, and just make sure that you're just in tune to your body and you listen to your body and do what's necessary for your body. I know I didn't have this problem, but when I was doing my research before traveling, a lot of concerns was, you know, the blood clots in your legs because of bad circulation. So if you are prone to that, or if your doctor has told you that, you know, that is a risk factor for you, you definitely want to make sure that you move your legs around so that you get some good blood circulation. So number 6, you want to stay hydrated. Being in a plane, flying, it definitely dehydrates you just being up there, so make sure to stay hydrated. It's worth going to the bathroom. You want to make sure that one, you're hydrated, but you keep your baby hydrated as well. It's very easy, especially for me. I was never the type of person to remember to drink a lot of water during the day, so it was really important to keep in mind to just like sip on a water bottle, you know, even throughout your trip, but definitely on the plane as well. Number 7, before you even buy your ticket, make sure that you check the airline that you're going to be booking with and look at their guidelines for people who are pregnant, because every single airline has a different guideline and different set of rules for whether you need, you know, a doctor's recommendation or a doctor's note, or some airlines don't even let you travel after a certain amount of weeks, especially if you have twins and things like that. So make sure that you look at their guidelines and see what you need in order to be able to fly. From my own research, you didn't need a doctor's note or anything until your week 36. So once you passed week 36, you would need a doctor's note, and then like by week 38 they're like, no, you can't fly anymore. So I thought that was pretty lenient. So even though, you know, they said that it's totally cool to fly up until week 36, I was just more listening to my body when I was 31 weeks and just decided that it probably wouldn't be the best idea for me to get on a 12-hour flight to a destination where I don't have medical insurance. If you are flying from Japan, I was able to fly without any doctor's notes, but they did ask me at the check-in counter if I had my... Basically, they have this booklet that they write. The doctor writes in this little booklet for you every time that you go to the doctor's. It's called a tichel. And they asked me if I had brought that. So just in case, you know, I didn't have it, but they let me fly anyways. It wasn't that big of a deal. But just in case, make sure that you bring that, and it would be very helpful for them if you bring that and show it to them. You know, it'll tell them exactly what week you're on, you know, that you are healthy, what your vitals are looking like, and things like that. So if you do remember to bring that, definitely do that, no matter what week you're on. Okay, so in my notes I have that was number 8. So that was number 8, to bring a doctor's note or your little booklet. So if also, well, okay, to go along with number 8, what I was told when I asked my doctors here out in Japan, I'm not sure exactly how it works out in the United States, but here in Japan at least, when I spoke to my doctors, one, you know, they told me when I asked them like, oh, you know, I'm planning on traveling when I'm 31 weeks, they were like, well, we can't say anything to you. It's going to be your responsibility. It's going to be your decision. We can't keep you from going, but we're not going to be held responsible for anything that happens. So it's very vague, because I'm the type of person that likes to be told like, okay, you can do this or you can't do that. So to be told like, oh, well, it's up in the air, it's up to you, it was like, oh, okay. But They told me that if I do plan on traveling and getting on a plane, that I would need to go and see them like 2-3 days before my flight to make sure that they would give the okay, and then let them know ahead of time if I need a doctor's note so that they can have it ready. So if you do need a doctor's note, make sure that you let them know ahead of time so they can get it ready for you and processed for you. I'm not sure if it will cost you extra, maybe a little bit, but yeah, make sure you let them know ahead of time so that they're not scrambling. In Japan, they don't do a lot of things last minute, or they're not like able to. So just make sure that you have that. Number 9, choosing a good destination. Depending on the season, depending on, the time of year, there's a lot of things that's going on. Different viruses and different diseases keep popping up at different places. So I would definitely straight away, keep an eye out on the news, keep an eye out, on what's really going on in those places, to make sure that you don't need extra vaccines, you don't need all that extra. If you can stray away from that, I would, just because that for me personally would make me super nervous. When you are pregnant, you do want to take those extra precautions. And then finally, tip number 10 would be to get all the help that you need. So I'm the type of person that doesn't like to receive help. I don't like to ask for help. I don't like to receive help. I'm like I can just do it by myself type of person. But when you're pregnant, definitely let those guards down, let your pride down, let your ego down, and make sure that if anybody asks you if you need help, just take it. We'll help you with your bags. Ask people for help, like to put your bags up, take your bags down. Maybe you're not, your stomach's not as visible, so maybe people can't see that you're pregnant. Take advantage of it. This doesn't happen all the time. You're not pregnant all the time, so take advantage of being able to get bumped up in line. Being able to check in early, or being able to board the plane early and get your priority seating, or things like that. So make sure that you kind of milk it. You deserve it, so make sure that you get the good treatment that you deserve. Those are my travel tips, and I hope that they gave you some value, especially if you're an avid traveler like me. Just because you're pregnant, just because you're gonna have a baby, does not mean that you have to put your travels aside. So definitely go on those trips. It's gonna be a lot of fun and you won't regret. So definitely go and have fun, and I will see you on the next video.